Hi, my name is Richard Curtis. I work for Adobe and I look after digital imaging. Today we're going to look at the output side of Lightroom 5. We're going to look at the map module, the book module. We're going to look at making a quick slideshow. We're also going to look at print and soft proofing and very quickly look at the web. And let's not forget export and how to make our pictures into JPEGs and commit our changes. Okay, so let's start off with the map module. The map module is accessed by clicking the map tab at the top of Lightroom. Now you can see I have a selection of images in my film strip and these are appearing on my map. Now to use the maps you do need to have an internet connection, as this is talking to Google. Let's just zoom in here so you can see what's happening. We've added the images to the map. I didn't have a GPS receiver at this point in time, so what I did was I wrote down the name of the village that I went to and remembered which pictures I took there and then dragged the pictures to the map. And that's a really easy thing to do. Let's just zoom in a little bit more and we'll see what these are looking like. So you can zoom right down. If these were taken with a GPS receiver, they would appear more spread out than what they are. It's just that I've added them into a location. To add them in, it's relatively easy. Let's just go into the library module and pick out some images that haven't been tagged. These ones here I know were taken in a little town called Varanasi in India, so I want to put these onto the map. Now using the search map facility, I'm able just to type in the name of the place that I visited, so Varanasi, and drag them onto the map and put them into that location. If I hover over the indicator and click on it, then I get to see the pictures and I can see which ones I took whilst I was there. You can change the different type of map. This is a satellite map, but you could use a road map or you could use a hybrid of both, and you can see the difference when you zoom in here. I can now see the road system as well as the terrain as well on this particular type of map. Just one thing to say though, on the right side you can see here the GPS information that's been brought in automatically. Now when you do use maps for the first time, it will ask you if you want to do something called reverse geocode, and that means do you want Lightroom for every picture to go out to the internet to use that GPS location to find the nearest town and then bring back the town name and location back into Lightroom, and this is then populated in the sub-location, city, state and province. Let's look at the book module and how to create a book in Lightroom 5. Here I am in the book module. You can see there that it's created for me a very simple book just with a back cover, a front cover, a spine, a first page and a back page, and you can see there on the back page you have this blurb logo. We'll talk about that in a little while. The type of book I'm going to create is controlled by the book settings on the right hand side. You can see there that it's going to be a blurb book, but I could create a PDF and I could create a JPEG set as well. The size of the book I can choose. I'm going to keep that as standard landscape. You can choose a type of cover, if it's soft or a hard cover, or a hard cover with a dust jacket. The different paper types. The logo page, if I turn that on, will give me a discount. If not, it will then not apply the discount. It'll remove the logo and give me the real price. But I'm going to keep that on. I don't mind giving that logo to get a bit of a discount. So it was a bit of a good deal, really. The things you can do here in the book is that you can clear the book and create a saved book when you're ready to go. Now, when you're creating books, Lightroom can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And that heavy lifting is really managed by something called auto layout. And the auto layout will automatically take the pictures that I've selected and put them into the book and spread them out across those pages. Now, before I go into that, I just want to talk about a couple of things. One is in the menu system, you have the book preferences. In here, you're going to tell Lightroom how it's going to put pictures into each book page holder. And if, when you go into the book module, you start by auto-filling the books. Now, I want to take control of this, so actually, I don't want to start new books by auto-filling. This won't do anything when I come into the book module, it will keep it empty. The pages control whether the pages numbers are added You can see there in the right corner at the bottom of this page here, let's just zoom in, where you can see the front page and the front cover there, and you can also see the page numbers over here as well, and they can be turned on and turned off, but also you can change the location as well. At this point I can also add pages to the book as well, so I could park on the page number 1 and then add a page. It will automatically add page 2. I can add a blank page as well. Now the pages are built on templates. We'll look at them in a little bit later on as well. I'm just going to clear that book for a second, put it back to where it was. The guides will show me any page bleeds, text safe areas, and where the photo cells will be placed, if they're going to be placed at all. You can control if a cell has any padding or spacing around the edges. What I want to actually do is use the type preset. The type preset will give me a standard look and feel for certain attributes on my page. So I may want a heading in a piece of text to be a certain size, but it's going to give me some consistency and save me a lot of work later. So I can then employ this in the auto layout to automatically take this on board when making the book. To use this, you see it's grayed out at the current time. I just need to pick a page that has a text element on it and then click the add photo and text at the bottom of the page, and it brings up the textile preset. You can see here you've got some presets already built in. I already have 2 or 3 in there already that I've used for another book, but I can create one now. So I can pick a font. So let's just pick Tecton Pro, and I can pick the weight of the font. I can change the size, the opacity, but actually the best thing to do is just type something in and see what it looks like. So this is going to be my heading. So I can say, okay, the heading is 18 points, and you can see in the preview on the left what it will look like. This is just really going to be used for a template, so we'll actually employ this later when we put it onto the auto layout. So it's really for the sizing that we're doing this for. You can save the current setting, and I'll call it, say, new heading, press create. I can now go into my auto layout. Now in there is 2 columns, one for each side of the page, and you can see my left side is the same as the right side, so I'm just going to duplicate the settings exactly. You could change it if you wanted to do, but for my exercise I want to have uniformity across the whole book. I'm going to choose a fixed layout, but I could choose from favorites and then choose random from those favorites. And under here I can then choose the look of the picture on each page. I want to have 1 photo. I may change it later, but I want to have 1 photo per page, but I could have 4 photos or a text page or whatever I want in this list. You can also create custom pages by creating your own template. When we put pictures in, we're going to zoom them to fit, and then we're going to use the textile preset for each photograph. I'm now going to update that preset. Before I click auto layout, I want to go and check the pictures that I'm going to put into the book. So I'm going back to my library. The pictures I want to use actually are all these pictures I took in India. There's quite a few of them. So I'm just going to select them all. Now what I want to do is use collections. A collection is basically a virtual set of my pictures. And the beauty of collections is that they will run across all the modules. I go to my collections area on the left hand side of the library module. I click on the little plus button, create collection, and I can say India book, and then I want to include the selected photographs, and I may as well select the target collection just in case I've missed something out. I can very quickly add a picture to it using the B key. Press create. It creates me that collection, and you can see there India book is 89 photographs. And all our pictures have been selected, and then press auto layout. It then starts to build me the book. You can see how quickly it's going to build me 160 pages. You can see there, if we look on each page, we can see that the text has been added in the bottom right hand corner of the preset, and if I just zoom in 1 to 1, you should be able to see it's the same type that we used in the type preset. Pretty good, and it saved us a lot of time. What I can then do is work on the book. Now it may be that this picture here doesn't actually want to be here, it wants to be on another page, so I can very quickly add a page like we saw before, add a page, and then move this picture around and put it somewhere else, and then remanage it from there. I may want the front and the back cover not to be these, and I may want my own front and back covers. Now I could drag the image onto the front cover but that would only put it in as a picture. I want it to spread over the whole book. So to do that, I can just delete it from the area that I placed it in, and I can drop the photograph in the background tab. Once I do that, you can see there that it then appears across both sides of the book. I can then change the opacity and have that come through so it's much stronger. I can add a template over the top of this, so I could have my front back cover with something like this. So I may want to put some text in here and some text in here, and I may want to put some pictures in these little areas. And I can do that very quickly by picking up the picture that I want to put on the back cover, drop it in, and you'll notice here that the number of times I've used this picture now has gone to 2, because one's on a page and one's in there. So it keeps a track of where I am when I'm building my book. You can see there that on the back cover I've got a picture of my face, but actually I want to have that as a template. So I'm just going to go down to the template selector and choose text pages, and text pages has this text and a picture, so I can select that, and then I have my picture in there, and I can put some text in here. Now I can cut and paste text from a word processor or from a text editor. I can just work on making this look really nice in the back of the book, and you can see there it's starting to take shape as we do that now. Once you've made the book, it becomes really easy to print, because you can just say send book to blurb, and when you do that it will upload this into the blurb library on the internet. So you do need an internet connection to do this. You sign in or you make an account. It then uploads this book into their repository. Others can view it, you can share it, you can also print yourself a copy as well. So that's a quick deep dive into using the book module in Lightroom 5. So let's go quickly into slideshows. So I've already got a folder here with my pictures in it, which contains video as well as my images, and I'd like the video to play as part of the slideshow as well. So I'm just going to select all those pictures and then move across into the slideshow tab on the right side of the top. Now you can see here that there's a few more options. I'm just going to turn to solo mode, so to have one option at a time or one menu tab at a time. So turn solo mode on like we saw in the first episode. Now you can see here that on the options I can either zoom to fill the frame, put a stroke around, I can cast a shadow, position the shadow, I can go to the layout and change the guides or no guides. I can change I can put identity plate on here as well to advertise me as a photographer. I can change the colour, put watermarking on, put the star rating systems on, so I can really customize what happens as part of each image and the slideshow itself. You can put music here as well in the playback, so pick the music that you like and it will play at the same time as the slideshow. If you want to then play the slideshow, you just press the play or the preview, but the play will automatically start to create me the preview, and they will then move into the play mode. Now you can see the slideshow's playing, so you can see the first slide comes up. Now this will progress, but will then show the video as part of this process as well. Okay, let's take a quick look into the print module. I really like using the print module in Lightroom rather than using Photoshop for print. I just think you have more control. You can see exactly what you're seeing, what you'll see on the print, so you can move the image around or images around and get exactly the right output. You have multiple layout styles that you can choose from. This is a single image in a contact sheet, but bearing in mind we've got lots of pictures selected, I can navigate between these pictures. Now it may be that I want more pictures on one page, and I can do this inside this option by modifying the page grid, and you can see there that I'm going to pull in multiple columns and multiple rows. I can then change the spacing between them and the horizontal spacing to get the contact sheet looking exactly the way I want it to look. Again, you can show the guides, you can show rulers on the outside of the frame, and all these normal things you can show when you're printing. You can also turn on information. So in this case it's equipment, but you could turn on the date, you could turn on a caption. When you're printing, you can set the page up, so choosing page setup will choose the paper size that you want to use, and print settings will enable you to open up the printer dialog and look at setting the printer to respond correctly to the output that you need. It may be the type of paper, the type of inks, it may be using black and white, but the point is you can see it on the page before you print it. Now, you need to make sure that you're color calibrating your screen and you're color calibrating your printer if you're doing this. And there's a couple of options there. For example, Datacolor have the Spider 4 that goes on the screen to calibrate your screen, but they also do one for the printer as well. It's called Spider Print, and you can do your printer. Now that point of that is that when you bring images into Lightroom, they're going to have a color. That color is then based upon the standard called the ICC standard. That means any colors you're working with on the screen will be the right colors. Then when you print it, and as long as you're printing with a color calibrated printer, you'll then print the right colors on the printer that match the screen. Now, sometimes when you print, some of the colors won't come out right, and that's because they may be out of what's called a gamut. If the colors don't exist inside that gamut space, they get clipped, very similar to white and black clipping, and it means those colors won't print properly. Now, paper is expensive and so is ink, so the best way to do it is using soft proof inside Lightroom. If I go to my development tab, I have something called soft proofing. Soft proofing will allow me to turn on the soft proofing indicators, and you can see there when I do that, little red marks appear, okay? And you can also see the backgrounds turn to white, showing me the print proof preview. The profile I'm using will be dependent upon the printer and ink combination. It may have been that I've calibrated it myself using something like a Spider Print, or I've downloaded the ICC profile for the paper and ink combination I'm using. But each paper will be different, so you can see here that if I choose this paper type, it's more red, so these areas of the scene won't print properly. So depending on which printer, its colours won't print properly because the gamut that printer can manage is different on each ink paper combination. I can just open up my Hue Saturation and Luminance box and move towards the saturation panel. I'm just going to change the amount of saturation in the colours because I think the saturation is what's making it clip, and that type of purple isn't going to print very well on that printer ink combination as we see on the screen. So to reduce the amount of red and bring it back into the normal clipping order, I can pick up the target adjustment tool and just dial this down by dragging the photograph, and you can see there that I lose a bit of saturation but all the red goes, which means that now it's ready for printing. Now what's going to happen is that Lightroom's going to recognize the change, and it will now ask me if I want to make it a proof copy or make this a proof copy. What this is doing is it will make me a virtual copy which will stay in the catalog, not take up disk space, and enable me to remember which printer and ink combination this picture was for. So let's go and create a proof copy now. You can see I have quite a few already been created, but you can see here if I turn on the information using the I key, you can see that I've got the printer and paper and ink combination as well as the ICC profile. So I can then keep that for later, and you can see that down here at the bottom as well. I can now keep that for later. I can create multiple versions for different print ink combinations and go and print that out. So that's how to set up printing inside Lightroom 5. Now let's say that I want to put my pictures out to the web and create a website for this set of pictures that I've created. So I can do that in the web module. The web module has pre-built templates built in, and you can see this on the right hand side on the layout style. Again, I'm just going to use solo mode, so right click solo mode and just collapse these panels down, and you can see here that I've got all my pictures inside my my film strip have been selected and created into this gallery. But I can look at the way that this works in the gallery, and I can experiment with the way that my pictures will be displayed on my website. I can either use simple fun things like Postcard Viewer, which will just put postcards on my website. I can pick the Airtight Auto Viewer, which is actually quite a nice one, and I just see them moving from left to right, but I get the focus on the middle. I can also change some information about my site, change the site title, the color palette of the background of the website, the appearance and the way that the borders and the padding works in each image. I can even put a watermark on my pictures, and every time I do something you can see that it refreshes the screen and shows me a real-time preview. And then I can upload. I can put an FTP server in here, and I can then upload my pictures into the web, and then I can then have them available on my website for my family and friends and other people to view those pictures if you want to do this yourself. Of course, the other way of getting pictures out is just a very simple export. So we're going to do that now. Export can be found in multiple places. One is on File, Export. And I've got different export options that you can have a look at later. But I can export to a specific folder. And you can see here I've already had one previously. So I'm just going to choose a folder on my desktop and press choose. I could make a folder from there and put them in there, or I could make a subfolder here and I can say India pictures and output to them as well. I can also change the format of the files that are going to be exported. So in this case they're going to be JPEG, but I could export them as a PSD or a TIFF or a PNG. I can change the quality and I can limit the file size. I can also change the color space. We know that when we export out to the web we need to have sRGB, and we use sRGB, not Adobe RGB, because every place we're going to put this, like a browser or a website or any output module that you can't control, we use sRGB because that's the baseline standard that everyone adheres to when it comes down to color profiling. So choose sRGB for your output if you're going to output to the web. We can also choose image resizing. So when I export out to the web, I choose a long edge of 1500. That means that if it's a portrait or a landscape, it's always going to be 1500 pixels. But you may need to be full size, where you can do that by turning that off, or you could have width and height, or by megapixels. You can also choose a resolution. You can sharpen for the screen if you would like. You can also remove location data from your GPS settings. You can also put watermarking on as well by clicking on the watermark, and if you need to edit your own watermark you can do. You can put graphics in here, or you can just put text, change the location, this type of thing as well. So it's a really nice easy way of making a watermark. And then once you've finished you can press export, and then when you export you can see here that the Lightroom automatically puts it out to that folder that I've chosen, and you can see here that I go to India Pictures, I have my file that's been exported. So that was exporting using the export feature in Lightroom. You can also use publish services. So publish services out of the box when Lightroom is installed are configured for Behance, Facebook and Flickr. And to set each one up, just click on Setup, and this will take you into the Publishing Manager. At this point I can log into my Behance account, and then I can log in with my username and password, and then I can sign in or log out, and then you can see here that I can control the output quality of the images as well, exactly the same as we did on export. So that's how to use a Publishing Manager. I hope that's made sense and has given you an overview of the output options using Lightroom. Thanks very much. That's the end of our series of our 5 modules, but it's been great to show this to you, and look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Thank you. Goodbye.